I've been talking about these Elliott wave counts. I think that they are coming to a conclusion. They might already be done. I've told you that we could have peaked earlier in the week on Monday. IBIT peaked just after that. I still think it's very possible that we get one more pop higher. If you watch the video all the way through, you'll see we had the Fitch downgrade. We had volatility along with the stock market. It followed a pullback. Still got a pop higher right after the Fitch downgrade, and you'll see that in the video. Market didn't. It peaked with the Fitch downgrade, and it began a larger corrective move. There were other things involved besides Fitch, as I'll talk about in the video. But I'm still watching this rising wedge right here on IBIT. I think that, again, we're going to likely bounce off this area right here and the 50-period moving average and go into this trend line right here. And, again, if you look at the NASDAQ, it's got the same pattern that IBIT and Bitcoin are forming, these rising wedges. And, again, this is a 60-minute chart of IBIT. Elliott wave count is speculation. Again, I believe it's speculation, but it's been accurate. I could tell you that for sure. Again, we've had this double bottom right here. I told you I believe that completed intermediate wave 4. I believe we're in intermediate wave 5, and we're getting our first minor wave of that marked right here, okay? And maybe it's over here. I could be wrong, but I think you get one more pop higher, and then you pull back. For wave 2, minor wave 2. These are 5 minor waves that are going to form in intermediate wave 5 after completing intermediate wave 4. And that's why I believe Bitcoin is going to go much higher. That's why I'm so bullish on Bitcoin. Yeah, I called the rally. I called the bottom. My signals called the very day of the bottom. We're going to pull back at some point. Yes, as we get a pop higher and then pull back. I could be wrong. We could start it right here, right now. I don't think so, but again, I'm open-minded. I think we're going sideways in be a triangle here on IBIT, very similar on Bitcoin. You're going to complete this diversion, so we get a pop higher, and then I think you're going to, and maybe it's more like this rather than like this, but I think you're going to see this pop higher on Bitcoin in all likelihood, unless we start taking out the 50, unless we start taking out the trend line, taking out the 10-period moving averages, then maybe that's over. But if we bounce here, this is what I think is going to happen. And again, I'm marking this as, and again, I got these smaller microwaves going here in this larger minor wave 1. I think we have 1, 2, I think you have 3, 4, and now I think you're getting this 5. I think that's unfolding in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or have the triangle of 3 back over here, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think it concludes as we go back up and tag that trend line on IBIT. Again, I'm doing two things. Accumulating a position down at the first bottom and then the second bottom. Doing two things, and those positions are playing out beautifully. One is a shorter term swing move. If we start to see evidence of a breakdown with IBIT, then I close it out, and that's all she wrote, and then I'll back with the ABC correction, okay? And I think that followed by the wave 3. Pop higher, bounce off the trend line, bounce off the 50, bounce off the 10-period moving average. We complete this divergence. I sell into the rally, and then I have back later down here. Same thing. So again, do we break down evidence that it's over? Pop higher. So that's what I'm looking at here. Shorter term swing trade. Again, we're up 42% from the lows. And again, I've caught most of that move. I have good indicators. I was telling you that a double bottom was forming those bullish divergences, and we saw it here on the 60-minute chart of IBIT as well. But in the daily time frame, we talked about all of that back at the bottom. Absolutely incredible signals. I think the divergence not only can form right here on the RSI, but down here, I think you could firm up and get this divergence right here. Now, again, if I'm wrong, we start breaking down and we start seeing evidence that momentum is shifting and we turn back down. So, again, those ways that I'm looking at that it can play out for the short term, I'm looking for a top very, very soon. As we get a pop, just my personal opinion, I could be completely wrong about that. Right about the bottom, I was right about the rally. I'll be right about that pop higher. But I am looking for this rally to come to a conclusion. I just happen to believe we get one more pop higher first. Other position is longer term I'm going to ignore the short-term price fluctuations and hold that. Again, accumulated the same position. I talked about accumulating at the first bottom and then down at the second bottom, because I believe that we're getting the final phase of the blow-off top. And this is my core position longer term, and I'm going to hold this for a few months, and I think we're going to rally into August or September, and then I think Bitcoin's going to peak. I'm extremely bullish down here, the bottom and the rally, and even with the pullback, I'm going to remain extremely bullish, even though I'm predicting we'll get a pullback. But when we reach my objective target, we're going to 150 to 175,000. When we go up into, whenever we reach my trend line of resistance, once I see evidence of a peak with Bitcoin, I'm going to get extremely bearish. I really don't care which way Bitcoin goes, up or down. I trade it back and forth. I'm a trader, trading it back and forth. Right now, I'm still trading it, but I'm taking, because I think we're going to get this final phase of the blow-off top, I'm holding a longer term position for multiple months, but still doing the swing trading. So those are the two things I'm doing with my trading tactics. So far, it is playing out beautifully. Everybody was predicting that Bitcoin would crash. I told you 74,000 will likely be the bottom. Loading up, falling along. We talked about all those signals back at the bottom. The IBIT ETF, here it is. I think we get a pop and a drop. That's what I think is going to happen. And right now, Bitcoin's hovering down just under 0.5%. It's been fluctuating the Saturday session, but here is what I think is going to happen with the Bitcoin 4-hour chart. Again, this is almost equivalent to the 60-minute charts with the S&P and IBIT and so forth. Bitcoin trades around the clock. Here we are. We've had the double bottom. We called that. We had the little miniature double bottom in this larger double bottom pattern. We broke through the confirmation line as I correctly predicted would happen. We've had this 42% rally back up. I think you've got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and now I think you're getting the 5. Could be an extended wave 5. Get another pop higher. I think that's going to likely be the case. I could be completely wrong, just telling you what I think. I have the guts to tell you what I think. Most people, like when I predicted this rally and called the very day of the bottom with my signals, because I have good indicators. If you've been following along, you saw those signals at the bottom before the rally ever happened, because I have very, very good indicators. A lot of my own indicators. Most people predict things after they already happen. I predict things before they happen. If you have good indicators, you can do that. I called the bottom, predicted this massive rally. I told you we were going to get a massive rally, going for a test of that 1,000 area. I told you I thought we'd go back up above it to the 101 to 105,000 area. That was absolutely correct. Now we're here at our peak at 105, and I still think that we're probably going to get another pop. I've revised what I think. I could be wrong. Maybe Monday's high holds, but I think you're forming a triangle here that we're going to see a pop higher. And again, I've got the question mark with the red count here, whether that is minor wave 1 completing and we come back and we get minor wave 2 now, which would be this red line right here that we start breaking down below the cloud and we start coming down and breaking the trend line. And again, you've got a rising wedge, very similar to what we have on IBIT, very similar to what we have on the NASDAQ. I think you're going to get a pop higher, probably go up towards 107,000, maybe 108, and then I think you're going to get the sell-off. That's what I think is going to happen. The ABC move here accordingly. Again, I think the RSI will pop higher up here, very similar to what we had over here. Look, you had this divergence right here, and then you ended up popping higher, and you ended up getting another pop higher before we got another corrective move. Here, I think you have a very similar situation. You got the divergence right here. I think we're going to end up getting this one more pop higher, and then you're going to get a larger correction. Wrong, we start seeing evidence of a breakdown, then Monday's high may be it. My guess is that's not going to be the case. We'll see what happens. I think the MACD is going to firm up here around the center line, and I think it's going to curl back up, and I think it's going to form this divergence right here, and I think you'll get another lower high. Had a very similar situation here. We had a divergence right here, just like on the RSI. We got this pop higher, and then we got another bigger corrective move. I think you're going to see that here, though. I think you'll get a short-term reversal for our wave 2. But this is what I think is going to happen. Regardless whether we get the pop higher that I'm looking for or just start to break down, I think you get your correction here very, very soon. But like I said, telling you what I think. I could be wrong, but I have the guts to tell you what I think, to tell you how I'm trading it. If I'm holding a core position, if I sell into the rally, close out my position, shorter term swing trade, how do I know Bitcoin's not going to keep going? Signals remain bullish. Holding my longer term core position and ignoring the short term price fluctuations, but still swing trading it and doing it very well. Doing it very well, if I do say so myself. This divergence on Pring parameter, and that's given us a volatility, the sideways move so far. Pring parameter still may remain bearish even if we pop higher, or you might get another reference point of a divergence. But again, this is telling me, just as we had the bullish divergences formed down here at the first bottom and the second bottom with Pring parameter, it's telling me, hey, likely going to get a bigger pullback very soon. So again, I think we get a pop higher. We break down. Regardless, I think we're coming down here. I think we'll end up dropping back below 100,000, and I think we could go as low as this 88,500 area. If I'm wrong about that, we get a bigger retracement. My guess is this level of support is likely going to hold. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, if you like the indicators, take a moment to support the channel. I don't have any sponsors. I don't want to get these exchanges that they want to get you all leveraged up to wipe you out. I just ask that you just partner with me and support the channel. I have amazing signals. Just ask that you do what you can to help out. My signals nailed the bottom, nailed the 42% run up. I'm telling you, a pullback's eventually going to happen here. Bitcoin's going to explode higher. The signals have just been nailing it. That kind of cutting edge information. Take a moment. Help out, support the channel. Most YouTube channels make their money by sponsors. I choose not to do that. But if you could take a moment, partner with me, I would really, really appreciate it. Follow the link below to take you to a secured site. You can donate any amount you want or make it a recurring donation. If you do that, I thank you. I thank you for your consideration for that. Now, we did get some topping signals. We got a reversal bar. We got confirmation to it, but there's been no follow through. And we've seen kind of a sideways consolidation forming what could be a triangle continuation. So again, this correctly signaled we'd have volatility for correction or reversal. Been right so far over here. It was correct. We had volatility that followed. It marked the bottom. Look at it. On the 7th and the 9th. Again, we got the reversal signals. We got the bottoming signal. Just as we had the topping signals back at the January high, the topping signals going into the December high, and then the reversal bar there right the day after. I still think it's very possible we get another pop higher and then get the bigger pullback if we are consolidating, which I think is likely the case. Again, eventually I think we pull back to the moving averages, as I've been talking about. Absolutely nailed it. Again, marking the bottom. We got the reversal bar. That's a black bar you see right there, marking it as the reversal bar. It was the day of the launch of the tariffs. Trump paused them immediately. Again, exactly what I predicted would happen happened. Media told us we were going into the next Great Depression. Just told us we were about to collapse. I told you 74,000, which is these are the lows right here, will mark a bottom with the tariffs. It did. I correctly called the bottom and predicted a massive rally. What happened? Oh, we got the bottom and a massive rally. I was right. I have good indicators, proven to be correct 97.1% of the time. And with this move, that percentage is only rising, going higher. Again, signals remain bullish. We start seeing evidence of being done. We start seeing this and maybe Monday's high holds. My guess is we're going to get a pop higher. Again, I named my indicators. A lot of indicators, so I name some of them. Haven't named all of them yet. I create so many. Again, we still have blue bars. I'm looking at the trend right here. Broke the downward trend line. Again, flipped to blue bars before we got the big move higher. Absolutely incredible signals. Again, if we start getting any kind of weakness or not, so far, going sideways. So far, trend signal still hanging in there. Got a warning sign here. It's led to some volatility and a sideways move so far. Just as we had back over here. These signals led to the bottom where the rally ever happened. Bullish signals still hanging in there. Look at this. Absolutely incredible signals. Be watching. Do we move towards the upper Bollinger Band again? We'll see what happens. Go up and maybe try to tag it or overthrow it. We'll see. Signals still hanging in there. Bullish are trend signals. No topping signal yet. We may not get one, but still could. Same is true here. Still on a bullish signal here before this big surge higher. Again, we'll be watching. Do some of the signals turn back to bearish, marking Monday as a peak, or do we have a sideways consolidation and we get a pop and a drop as I'm expecting? I start seeing my signals begin to turn back down, or do we get a pop higher and then it happens later? That's what I think is likely going to be the case, but signals still hanging in there. I got warning signs of a top. But so far, it's just been a sideways correction. Even the momentum line is still bullish at this point. Now, if we start breaking down, momentum starts turning bearish, then we would start to sell off right here. Here, during this sideways movement here, had the warning signs. Again, just looking at short-term momentum here with the topping signals here. Again, we actually saw the momentum line turn bearish, but then it flipped right back to bullish, again, marking a sideways correction. So again, signals are still hanging in there. Line is still bullish. A pop higher and then a drop and a pullback, or happen immediately. Does Monday's high end up holding? Signal still bullish here. You still have green bars still hanging in there around that 10-period moving average, going sideways. That 10 periods of red line, we're still above the 20. Possible triangle formation. As I keep saying, you could get this divergence forming on the RSI and pop higher and then get the pullback and end up forming a divergence. I think that is very, very possible. MACD is trying to roll over, so there's still risk that Monday's high is it. Again, we'll be looking for clues. Still think this divergence has a good shot of forming on Bitcoin. Daily time frame with the RSI. Now, right after the stock market closed on Friday, Moody's came out and downgraded the U.S., stripping it of its AAA credit rating, citing growth in government debt. Now, at the moment, here on the Saturday session, with over 7 hours left of the trading session, we have a Bitcoin down just over 0.5%. Right now, at the moment, down 0.61%. We saw the peak on Monday. I told you the previous week we could see a top by Tuesday. So far, that's happened. We topped on Monday. But I also told you we could still form that divergence, and this can drag out, and we can consolidate sideways, get one more pop higher, and then get the bigger pullback. So we're watching for clues. Far right now, down just over 0.5% on Bitcoin with the Moody's downgrade. The S&P credit rating agency downgrade the U.S. back in 2011. We had Fitch do it August 1st of 2023, and now we have Moody's. The three big ones now all done it. It should have been done years ago. Washington is spending like a bunch of drunken sailors, and it's going to eventually give us a financial crisis. Not this next one, but the next time around, probably in the early 2030s. And what they're doing, the government, with this crazy spending, running, $2 trillion deficits each year now, $1 trillion. I mean, it's just sustainable what these politicians are doing, and nobody wants to stop it. Go back to pre-pandemic spending levels. Stop spending more money than you. Again, we're taking in $5 trillion. They're spending $7 trillion every year right now. Even with the Doge cuts, they've got to do more. Otherwise, the politicians, by continuing to allow this to happen, continuing to spend more than they take in. Before the pandemic, we were spending $4 trillion a year. Now we're spending $7 trillion a year. I mean, this is unsustainable. Politicians, by not stopping this, growing the government so huge, eventually going to give us a depression, and that's likely going to be by the 2030s if they continue on this path. I think there's any way that will be prevented. I think that will happen. It's a warning that we're hitting with the downgrades here with Moody's and previously with Fitch and S&P. Now, we've seen this sell-off. We've seen a sell-off at 32%. We've rebounded back up by nearly 42%. Again, back here when I called the day of the bottom, my signals, if you watch the video all the way through, if you watch my videos, you saw the bottoming signals before the rally ever began. When we were selling off, they formed on the 7th, on the 8th, and on the 9th. Before the rally even began, they formed. Momentum signals flipped, and then the trend signals flipped, and now we're watching, seeing now this 42% rally. We've gone back above the 78.6 Fibonacci of the entire decline. So that's a good sign as well. Point, you're likely going to pull back to the 50, the 200 here, the 100 period moving average, the pink line there. At some point, you're going to pull back to these levels. Do we get a pop higher? Do we get a pop higher and then begin a pullback? Or do we do it right here now and Monday's high holds? We'll be watching for clues. We need to see more evidence if, in fact, we're going to do it right here, right now. We have had some topping signals here surrounding this peak, but could end up seeing more if we get one more pop higher. Everything I have flashing a topping signal yet. So what happened? Here we are down just over 0.5%. What happened when Fitch downgraded? What did Bitcoin do the last time around in 2023, in August of 2023? Now, when we got the Fitch downgrade in August of 2023, August 1st, what did Bitcoin do? And again, that was right after the November bottom over here in 2022. And we had this rebound back up, and we were going sideways after bottoming. Bitcoin rebounded back up, nearly doubling, and it went sideways in a consolidation. First sideways consolidation in this run-up from the 2022 low. Sell-off here and a rebound back up, and then we had another sell-off here right before the Fitch downgrade on August 1st, 2023. And remember that the stock market was selling off. The stock market ended up starting a bigger sell-off with the Fitch grade. And again, I've been calling for a pullback. I told you I thought we would start a pullback very soon with the stock market. If you watch my stock videos, predicted this rally. I predicted the bottom, but again, we're going to pull back, completing minor wave 1 and get minor wave 2. And this now could was the start of the pullback for minor wave 2. The same thing with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin could still pop higher or getting a bigger pullback, as I've mentioned. What happened is we going sideways. We had already peaked here in the summer with Bitcoin here in July 2023. We had already started to sell off before the Fitch downgrade. We got the Fitch downgrade on August 1st. This green bar right here, that was after the stock market closed. Really, the August 2nd data that we're looking at, that's where the stock market gapped lower. If you go watch my latest stock market video, I show the actual chart. S&P 500 gapping lower on August 2nd. Well, that gave us some volatility here on August 2nd surrounding our 50-period moving average. Went down for a few days, but then we popped back up above this high. Now, we didn't go make new highs, but we did pop above the high from the downgrade. That's why I'm saying we still could see it happen. The Bitcoin price could pop higher. The argument is that, well, the downgrade of the U.S. credit rating, that's bullish for Bitcoin. Well, we still had volatility surrounding that. We still had volatility with the stock market. Other things in play, again, tightening of financial conditions at that time. We had on the banks, Powell and the Fed were saying higher for longer with rates, and tech sell-off at the time. And so we did see Bitcoin participate in the volatility. I think you will see Bitcoin get a pullback. We've risen 42%. We might get a pop higher. But again, like we got a pop higher here, we still got a pop higher even after the downgrade. But we still joined the stock market in having the volatility. And actually had peaked just before the stock market did with this sell-off. Well, even with the Fitch downgrade, and on the second we had some volatility, but we still moved higher. The rally was sold at the 50, and then we had a bigger sell-off. From that Fitch downgrade right there, we still popped higher, but we ended up dropping about 16% with Bitcoin. I do believe we're going to get a pullback in the near future, but then I think we'll get a higher low with Bitcoin, and then we'll go higher. But that's what happened with the Fitch downgrade the last time around. See something similar to this? I think you're probably going to see a pullback with Bitcoin, but we still can get a pop higher. And I wanted to show you this because, again, even though we had the downgrade, we still ended up popping higher. We weren't at the highs, but we still popped higher than when the announcement was made. And we still, out of this kind of sideways move, we had turned down, and we had a break of this level right here. We had a break of this level, pushing down, and we came back up. And we tried to get back above it the day after the downgrade there, and then we tried to do it again, and that acted as resistance. We ended up going and making lower lows. We took out the lows here, and we ended up moving back beyond the 200 period moving average. Death cross. Again, I talk about these death crosses leading to bottoms. Oftentimes that is the case. Sometimes you get a death cross and it leads to a bear market. Other times the death cross marks a major correction, especially with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin gets these big exaggerated moves up and down. Bitcoin right here, again, had this move down. We dropped below the 50 period. We got rejection at it, as I've been talking about here, back in 2023 right here. A death cross. And that ended up marking the bottom. And then we ended up getting back above the 50. We stalled up the 200. We pulled back to the 50 and got back above it. And again, this is what I think is going to happen right now. I think you're going to pull back to the 50. We've gotten very far away from it. And then I think you're eventually going to get the 50 getting back above the 200 period moving average. This is what happened with the downgrade with Fitch. Wanted to show you that. Still think we can get that one more pop higher, but I do think we're going to have volatility along with the stock market. Well, the stock market put in the peak on Friday. My stock market video, Elliott wave count on Sunday. I'll be posting that Sunday morning. Go to my Ron Walker channel and take a look at those counts there. Posted them along with the Bitcoin Elliott wave count on x.com, formerly Twitter. Did all the intraday Elliott wave counts, and I'll be covering that in this video. So from the Fitch downgrade, we ended up dropping on Bitcoin about 16%. The entire decline during that time was almost 22%, 21.65%. We're to drop right now. If Monday's high were to hold, we're to drop right now back towards the 50 period, back towards the 200, the 100 period moving average. A 16, just over 16% drop, very similar to that drop from the downgrade, would take us back to this level. Now, if we get a pop higher, then again, it would be maybe a little bit more, assuming that we come back down here towards the 100 period moving average, just beyond it, towards this level of support. As I've said, this level right here in the 90s, the low 90s could hold. I could be wrong about a more mild or medium-sized pullback. We may get a larger Fibonacci retracement. I still think it's possible you get one more pop higher and then you get this pullback. And if we do, we could get a larger percentage drop. If Monday's high holds, here's the Fibonacci retracements. Again, that's the high from the 12th of May, this last Monday. If we get one more pop higher, the Fibonacci's will change. But if our high at 105,000, and again, I was predicting that we go to 101 to 105,000. Told you I could be wrong. Pop a little bit higher than that, but that was my objective target. And again, calling the bottom, predicting the day of the bottom, predicting this rally. We were told down here we were going to crash with Bitcoin, crash with the stock market, get a Black Monday crash. I told you we were bottoming with the tariffs. The bears told us we were about to have this Black Monday crash. The media told us we were going into the next Great Depression and the stock market were going to crash. And herd was very bearish down here. They were extremely bullish at the top. When I called the very day of the December and the January peaks at that trend line of resistance in the weekly time frame, they were very, very bullish. They got extremely bearish down here. I told you we were bottoming with the bullish divergences that were forming in the double bottom pattern. Some 42%. The Fibonacci retracements, again, I've talked about going to that 101 to 105,000 area, being a pullback, but I told you we could go a little bit higher. Still think that's very, very possible, as I've said. If Monday's high holds, the Fibonacci retracement right here is a 38.2 Fibonacci at that 93,700 area. Our 50% retracement comes down here. These are the Fibonacci's using the linear scaling. The log scaling, it's a little bit different. I'll show you that just real fast. But the 61 point Fibonacci down here at 86,300, 78.6 Fibonacci down here, 81,000. Assumes that the high holds from Monday. The Fibonacci is using the log scaling. Let me change this over. And here we have the 38.2 Fibonacci just below this area here at 92,000, just under 92,500. The neckline, or of the confirmation line, I should say, of the double bottom pattern, of the double bottom, the first bottom here, the second bottom here, that's the confirmation line, is where our 50% retracement would be here, assuming that that peak holds, and we don't know that is going to be the case at this point. This is at the 88, mid 88,000 area, the 61.8 Fibonacci, 85,000, the 78.6 Fibonacci here at the 80,000 area. Now, staying with our log scaling here, if we were to go up to the 107,000 area, say this is a consolidation, we get one more pop higher, and then we begin to correct, okay? Say we are consolidating to 106, 107, 108,000, whatever. You pop above 105,000, go up to 107,000, then again, the Fibonacci retracements will change just a little bit. But this 50% area is an area of interest to me, again, because it's near our 100-period moving average. It's very close to the 50%, the confirmation line of the double bottom. If we have our high hold right now, then it is at that level. If we go a little higher using our log Fibonacci retracements, it's just a little bit slightly higher than 50% retracement, around 89,000 or so. But that, again, I'm looking for a move back to test the 100, the pink line, back to test the 50 period. The 50 is moving in closer towards the 200. And again, I think you're probably going to pull back and get the bullish golden cross, pull back towards it, or popping higher and then pulling back towards it. I think you're eventually going to see that happen. I think you're going to get this retracement back to these moving averages, and that could take us back to the confirmation line area or just moving towards it. Only go to a 38.2 Fibonacci. One more pop higher. Again, this is the area I'm looking at. We'll pop higher, probably not be able to move above the 109,000 January high. Can get the pop higher, and I think you've still got a good chance that's going to be the case. I think that this area will give us a wave too. And again, if we pop higher, again, I'm looking for an ABC type of a move to come back here over the next couple of weeks, back towards these levels. And maybe, like I said, we don't reach them. Maybe we just move towards them. Extremely bullish on Bitcoin. And again, nailing the day of the bottom, my indicators did a great job. Predicting the rally, my indicators did an outstanding job. I think that wave one, minor wave one, is coming to a conclusion, or maybe it's done. And I think you're going to get that wave two. And then I think the next move higher for Bitcoin will be spectacular, and we'll move to new all-time highs. I could be wrong about new all-time highs right now. We may try to push above 109,000 right now. I am not of the opinion that that is going to be the case. Be completely wrong. Signals are still bullish at this point, but I think you're probably going to get one more pop higher, or Monday's high will hold. And I'm in the camp that we're probably going to get one more pop higher. We did with the Fitch downgrade. We still got a pop higher, but then I think you're going to get a bigger sell-off. These are the Fibonacci's we'll be watching if we do get the pop higher, or if Monday's high holds the other Fibonacci's that I showed you. We got the rally I predicted would happen. We've come up and we've blown through this resistance level. I told you, again, we can get above this 100,000 area, go to 101 to 105,000. In this range right here, we've reached that. The 101,000 area is busting up through this area. The 105,000 area is up in here where we stalled out right here. This is where I'm getting these levels. Pop up and we're consolidating. When we pop up through here, then again, you can come up into this area, and that could take us again to 106, 107, 108,000 if we come up into this area, or the pink shaded area, and the 109,000 area is right here. That means we, blow through this level. I think you're going to pop up into this area in all likelihood, maybe 106, 107, probably around 107,000. December was 108,000. The peak in January was 109,000. My signals called the very day of both of those tops, and we formed those divergences because we slammed into a major trend line, forming divergences at that resistance. I have really good indicators. You can make some amazing calls if you look at support and resistance levels. And here, again, I was able to make the 105,000 call because I looked at this resistance level, horizontal resistance. Do we pop higher and then sell off? Just have Monday's high hold. Again, I do believe, don't get me wrong, I'm very, very bullish on Bitcoin, but I do believe a pullback is going to happen. We've got wave one going on here. I think it's either finished or about to finish. And again, I'm in the camp. We're likely going to get one more pop higher and then get the sell off and then back into this area. And look at the horizontal support. Remember the January low, we broke through it, tried to get back above it, it failed. And when we dropped back below it, it became resistance here. Eventually, we got back above it. That level is now support. Okay, and again, moving back towards our 50 and the 200 period moving average in this area, I think is very likely. We may not reach 88,500 or 600, but you could move towards it. Showing you the Fibonacci retracements, In my last video, in this video, I've been showing you, okay, if we peak, where might we end up going? My guess is we're going to pop up into this next level of resistance. If not, we stall right here, then we'll be looking for that larger retracement. My guess is we pop and drop, but again, speculation on my part. I think we're consolidating sideways. Regardless of which way it plays out, I expect a bigger pullback, so keep that in mind. The pullback is done, Bitcoin's going to rip higher, and the big money is going to be made at the wave 3. It's going to be massive.